Hi everyone, and welcome to our daily show, The Big Story, where we bring you the hottest topics of the day right here in the heart of the newsroom. My name is Alyssa Wu, and I'm coming to you live from the Straits Times. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, and if you're on YouTube, do click that bell button to be notified whenever we go live. I'll be joined very shortly by my newsroom colleague Yuen Sin to discuss the topics that got you talking today. Now, fresh graduates looking for work may find their job hunt to be no walk in the park, given the uncertain economic conditions and competition. While they may be temporarily jobless, a small percentage may find themselves in limbo for an indefinite period. And there are more young people finding themselves in such positions and who are at risk of facing emotional issues. I have here with me Yuen Sin today to talk about this particular group of youths, otherwise referred to as Neets. So Yuen Sin, what is a need and what makes a need?
So a need refers to young people aged between 15 and 24 who are not in employment, education or training. So it is a term that's commonly used by international organizations such as the World Bank or the International Labour Organization. So these organizations are concerned about this group of needs because they are seen as a vulnerable segment of the youth population. Because if you're not working and also you're not doing anything to increase your employability in the meantime, right? You could be at risk of being excluded from the labour market in the long run. And but at the same time, not all needs are in a hopeless situation. So even though the group has grown in size from 3.7% in 2013 to 4.1% in 2016, actually about half of them are just temporarily unemployed. So they could just be, actively looking for jobs, trying to find their dream job, trying to find a job that matches their interests. And a quarter of them are also just taking a break. So maybe, they are taking a sabbatical from school or work to explore their interests. And some of them could also be not working because of poor health or because of family responsibilities.
Right, so you said that not all of them are in a hopeless situation. How about those who are at risk? It's a small percentage, but they still exist, right?
Yeah, definitely. So the ones that I think we should be more concerned about, even though they are a minority group, will be the ones who are long-term unemployed. So this refers to those who have been out of a job for 6 months or more, right? And there is also a group known as the discouraged workers. So these are workers who have given up on looking for a job altogether. And this is problematic because some of them may face issues such as depression and anxiety, or some may find it tough to stay in a job as they have been bullied in school before, and they lack the soft skills that can enable them to stay in the workplace for a long period of time.
So we are talking about young people here, but does this affect older people as well, like these feelings that you described?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the term officially refers to those who are 15 or 24. Some countries also use age definitions that go up to 29, and definitely you would find adults who 30s, 40s, 50s who are out of a job, and this definitely can affect them emotionally in the long run as well.
But for the purpose of the show today, we will just focus on 15 to 24.
Yeah,
right?
because those are the statistics that are available right now.
So what is the reason for this upward trend of needs in Singapore? Because you mentioned that the percentage has increased.
First, to give a sense of perspective, right, our need rate is very low by international standards. So in comparison, a country like Finland, right, actually is very widely praised for its education system, and people often compare Singapore's education system to Finland's education system, but Finland has a need rate of 9.9%, so that's more than twice the amount that we see in Singapore. But definitely we see that this rate has gone up from 2013 to 2016 because of a few reasons. So some experts tell me that young people these days, right, they have much higher expectations for a job, right? So compared to our parents who may be willing to just settle for any job that is available, young people out there today may want to hold out longer to find a job that suits their interests or offers certain things such as like work-life balance. Another economist told me that one issue is also that more people are getting degrees and enrolling themselves in universities. So obviously when you have invested that amount into your education, right, time and money, you will want to hold out for a job that offers better pay, better salary. You may not want to settle for a job that pays you less than what you expect. So that may also increase the unemployment rate or the rate of people who are in this need group over time. Yeah.
And there's also probably another reason for more needs. So some of them do have a safety net to fall back on, even though they're unemployed, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you don't have a job, you don't have money, you are compelled by very practical reasons to go out there and find something that can help you to pay for your daily expenses. But we also see that more families these days, right, they are more well-to-do, right, or at least middle class. So the parents may be willing to financially support their children even when they are not working.
So are there groups of people in this need category that are particularly vulnerable?
Yeah, so those who are long-term unemployed, those who have been working for more than 6 months, not working for more than 6 months, right? And those who are discouraged workers who have given up on looking for a job altogether. So together they make up around like 6% of the need group. So counselors told me that those who are in such a state, right, they may develop issues such as depression and anxiety. You can start to lose confidence in yourself after being rejected by so many employers, right? So every time you get a rejection, you feel like, am I not good enough, right? Like,
but this is a very natural thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Search.
Yeah. So sometimes it may not be the wisest decision to also just send out CVs to like 80 employers, because when you get so many rejection letters, it's not going to make you feel good about yourself. Yeah. And some of them, it also depends on the individual, right? Some people are more resilient than other people. So some people are better able to deal with failure and pick themselves up from it. So I can tell myself that, I'm rejected from a job, but it's okay, I'll keep trying and I'll try to analyze where I went wrong. But some people, because they have had negative job experiences or bad experiences in school as well, they may start to develop a phobia even of like sending out a resume to an employer, because every time you send out a resume, it means that there is an expectation, and when your expectation gets crushed, then it becomes very crushing for the individual.
And you spoke to someone who had a sort of social anxiety, and that kind of like prevented him from going
definitely
out. Can you explain or talk more about this?
Yeah, his situation is pretty complex because it runs all the way back to the time when he was in school. So this boy, he did not want to be named, but we can call him Benjamin. So he's a young man, Benjamin, 24 years old. He has a diploma in Polytechnic, and he graduated with pretty good grades, 3.47 GPA. But he was bullied in school, and that caused him to develop social anxiety. And when he did his first internship at Singapore Polytechnic, what happened to him was that 1 week into his first job, right, he was fired for being slow at completing certain tasks. So this has also made him fearful that what if I go to a new job and I don't fit in, right? Or if people blame me for mistakes. So after he sent out his resume to around 10 employers after he graduated from Polytechnic and finished his NS, and he didn't hear back from them, he started to develop like a phobia of applying for jobs, and then he fell into depression. So I don't think that he is lazy or that he doesn't want to look for something again, but I think it's more of the emotional and psychological barrier that is holding him back. So in such instances, it takes many different types of interventions that can help him to find something. And even when he has found a job, it doesn't mean that everything is going to be fine and dandy for him from then on. Yeah.
So you mentioned this person named Benjamin. You mentioned emotional issues, right? There is also a similar phenomenon in Japan. It's called Hikikomori.
Yes.
Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, Hikikomori is a very widespread cultural phenomenon in Japan, and it refers to people who are basically social recluses who do not even step out of their houses for more than 6 months. So the counselors and psychologists that I spoke to say that if you are a NEET, maybe some of them are perfectly well adjusted. They are just temporarily unemployed. But those who face psychological issues or have a mental health history may risk falling into this category of hikikomori, basically. So and this phenomenon is very common in Asian societies where the idea of face is very important. So there are many kind of like expectations for you to do well in school, or for you to graduate from school and get a good job, right? And if you fail to conform to these expectations and you see that everyone else around you is getting ahead of you in that respect, right, you may start to develop a sense of shame, and you want to like shut yourself in your house because that's the best way that you don't have to lose face, right? Because if you don't step out of your house, you don't have to talk to people who may judge you. So it's safer for you to kind of like remain in this limbo situation, even though actually it can be kind of like a vicious circle for an individual caught in this situation.
Yeah. And does this affect more men than women?
Yeah, I think that one counselor told me that he has seen only male cases and no cases from women at all. And this could be linked to the idea, especially in Japan, that men have to be the traditional breadwinner in the family, right? So I think it hits them a lot harder when they can't play the role that they are expected to play in society. Whereas I feel that maybe women, they are not subjected to such expectations, so it doesn't feel as punishing for them as compared to men. So that could be one theory.
Okay, so now we've been talking about what happens in Japan, that short example. Maybe we could go back to Singapore. What can be done to help this particular group of needs who are at higher risk?
Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as telling them, hey, can you go and find a job? That is the last question that they want to hear from anyone, especially someone who is close to them. I think it's important to address the root causes of what is holding them back. So for instance, if someone has low self-esteem or kind of like confidence issues, maybe those who are close to them can help them by affirming them and telling them that, hey, you can actually do well in the workplace, even though you may be lacking in social skills, but you're very talented in this other aspect, and try to slowly encourage them. And I think it's important to get professional help. So maybe those who are closer to them can slowly kind of like encourage them to see a counselor who are best placed to address such psychological issues. And many counselors that I've spoken to here have experience in dealing with young people in such situations. So let's say if you have anxiety, right, and that's actually the root cause of why you can't even get out there to look for a job in the first place. There are intervention and things that can help you. So for instance, mindfulness or cognitive behavioral therapy. So these things can help you to kind of like change your mindset from a more negative one into a more positive one, and that can help you to build up resilience.
So what can the individual do? So apart from working on their resilience, what else can they do?
Yeah, I think for the individuals, working on resilience sounds like a very abstract concept, but I think in simple terms, it's also about learning to be more forgiving of yourself and not punishing yourself so hard when you feel like you have failed, in school or in life, because you have to accept that, hey, it happens to everyone and it can happen to anyone else in the future as well. A lot of it is also about, I guess, how society perceives failure, right? So I think in a place like Japan, we see that this phenomenon is very common because it can be quite a perfectionistic society and very demanding, right? So if you don't achieve certain traditional kind of like expectations, you don't live up to your role, people feel that they kind of internalize that failure. In Singapore, people may say that we were such a society in the past, right, that it's all about grades, and if you don't do well, you are left to suffer on your own. But we're also trying to broaden the definition of success, especially in the education system today. And I think a lot of the programs are also built at helping students build up their resilience and learn how to deal with failure. And if everyone can just accept that failure is a norm, and employers can have be more open-minded and be more accepting of people who may have difficult experiences in life, it can actually help this need rate to go down over time.
Well, thank you so much, Yuen Sin, for coming on the show to discuss about needs and certainly what one can do to be more resilient in different aspects of their life. So that was our top story of the day. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Melissa. Thank you for watching The Big Story. Tune in again tomorrow, same time, same place.